Episode 21. Letters from the Past. Marcus sat on the narrow cot in the Youth Alliance's back room, the wooden box open beside him. His father's letters spread across the thin blanket like pieces of a puzzle he was finally learning to assemble. The overhead bulb cast harsh shadows, and somewhere in the building's depths, he could hear the distant murmur of voices. Jimmy and Teresa talking in the front office, probably about him. He'd been staring at the same letter for 10 minutes, reading and rereading the careful characters his father had written in both English and Chinese. The paper was yellowed, creased from being folded and unfolded countless times, and Marcus imagined his father sitting alone in their apartment, writing words he might never have the chance to speak aloud. My son Marcus, if you are reading this, then Vincent has judged the time is right, and I am no longer with you. I'm sorry for that. Sorrier than words can express. I wanted to watch you grow into a man, to see what kind of person you would become. I hope Vincent waited long enough, that you are strong enough to hear what I must tell you. You have a brother. His name is Daniel Chen, and he is 5 years older than you. By the time you read this, he will be a man, perhaps 30 years old, perhaps older, depending on when Vincent decides you're ready. Daniel lives in San Francisco with his mother, my first wife, Lily Huang. Marcus set the letter down, his hands shaking slightly. He'd read this part a dozen times already, but it still felt unreal. A brother, a stepmother, a whole family he'd never known existed. He picked up the next letter, this one addressed to Daniel, dated 15 years ago. My dear Daniel, your mother tells me you've been accepted to San Francisco State to study mathematics. I am so proud of you. I wish I could be there to celebrate with you, to see you walk across that stage in 4 years. But you understand why that's impossible. I send what money I can. I know it's not enough. It's never enough. But I'm supporting 2 families now, and dock work doesn't pay what it used to. I hope you know that every dollar I send comes with all my love and all my regret for the choices that keep us apart. Marcus is 10 now. He's a good boy, quiet and thoughtful. He draws pictures constantly, always sketching, always observing. Sometimes I see something in his eyes that reminds me of you at that age, the way you would sit for hours working on math problems, completely absorbed. I think you two would have liked each other if things had been different. I'm sorry I can't be the father to you that you deserve. I'm sorry for the complications, the legal tangles, the immigration issues that make it impossible for us to be together as a family. Your mother is a better person than I am. She deserves better than what I've given her. And you deserve a father who can be present, not just a man who sends money and letters. But know this, I think of you every day. I love you, even though I can't show it the way I should. And someday, when all of this is over, I hope you and Marcus will meet. I hope you'll know each other as brothers. Your father, James Chen. Marcus set the letter down carefully, his vision blurring. His father had carried this secret for 20 years, the weight of 2 families, 2 sons, a complicated past that involved divorce and immigration law and choices here. Marcus couldn't fully understand yet. The letters painted a picture of a man torn between duty and desire, between the family he'd left behind and the family he'd built anew. There was a soft knock at the door. Marcus quickly wiped his eyes. Come in, Jimmy entered, carrying a steaming mug of coffee. He set it on the small table beside the cot, his weathered face creased with concern. You okay, son? Marcus gestured at the letters. Did you know? About my father having another family? Jimmy shook his head slowly. Vincent didn't tell me the details. Just said James had left some things behind, some truths you needed to hear. That's all. I have a brother, Marcus said, the words still feeling strange in his mouth. Half-brother. He's 30 years old. Lives in San Francisco. Teaches math at a community college. Jimmy sat down heavily on the wooden chair across from the cot. That's a hell of a thing to discover. There's more. Marcus picked up another letter, this one from Lily Huang to James Chen, dated 3 months after his father's death. My father's first wife, my stepmother, I guess. She tried to get custody of me after he died, but there were legal complications, immigration issues. She couldn't prove they'd been properly divorced. The courts wouldn't even let her visit. Jesus, Jimmy breathed. She wrote to Vincent every month for 2 years, asking about me. sending money for him to pass along in case I needed anything. But the foster system wouldn't tell her where I was, wouldn't even confirm I was okay. Marcus's voice cracked. I had family, Jimmy. All those years in foster homes, all those years thinking I was alone, I had family trying to find me. Jimmy reached across and gripped Marcus's shoulder. Your father was trying to protect you. Protect all of you. Sometimes the right choice looks wrong from every angle. Marcus nodded, not trusting himself to speak. He picked up the final letter, the one his father had written just days before his death. Marcus, if you're reading this, then something has happened to me. I've been careless, or unlucky, or both. I've been gathering evidence against the DeLuca family for 3 years now, and I know they're getting suspicious. Yesterday, Tony Marchesi followed me home from the docks. Today, Sal Benedetto asked me pointed questions about what I do with my camera. I've given Vincent instructions to hold this box until you're old enough to understand, until you're strong enough to hear the truth about who I was and what I did. I hope that's 25, maybe 30. I hope you have a good life first, before you learn about all of this. You need to know about Daniel and Lily. They're your family too, even if you've never met them. Vincent has their address in San Francisco. When you're ready, I want you to contact them. Daniel has been waiting his whole life to meet you. Lily has been waiting to meet the son she couldn't raise. I'm sorry for the secrets. I'm sorry for leaving you alone. I'm sorry I won't be there to explain all of this in person, to help you understand the choices I made and why I made them. But I'm not sorry I fought the DeLucas. I'm not sorry I documented their crimes. Some things are worth dying for. Justice, truth, the hope that maybe the world can be a little better for the next generation. That's worth the risk. You're a good boy, Marcus. You're going to be a good man. Whatever you become, whoever you love, however you choose to live, I'm proud of you. I always will be. Your father. P.S. There's money in the box. Not much, but enough to help you get started. And there's a key to a safety deposit box at First National Bank on Canal Street. Box 247. The evidence is there. Everything I gathered on the DeLucas. Use it if you can, but don't let it consume you. Don't let revenge become your whole life. Promise me that. Marcus set the letter down, his hands trembling. His father had known he was going to die, had prepared for it, had tried to leave Marcus with everything he'd need, money, evidence, and most importantly, family. The safety deposit box, Marcus said quietly. He mentioned a safety deposit box. Jimmy nodded. Vincent said he kept paying the rental fee for 20 years, waiting for you to be ready. But I already found the evidence. The FBI has it now. So what else is in there? Only one way to find out. Marcus looked at the wooden box, at the neat stacks of letters, at the photograph of a young woman holding a baby, Lily Huang and Daniel, taken 35 years ago, when his father's first family was whole and happy. There was also a thick envelope of cash. Marcus counted it quickly, finding $800 in worn bills, his father's emergency fund, saved over years. And there, at the bottom of the box, was a small brass key with a paper tag. First National Bank, Canal Street, Box 247. I should go tomorrow, Marcus said. First thing in the morning. You should rest, Jimmy countered. You've been through hell this week. The bank will still be there on Monday. Marcus shook his head. I need to know. I need to see what else he left behind. Jimmy studied him for a long moment, then nodded. All right, but you eat something first. Teresa made soup, and she'll have my head if you don't have at least a bowl. Marcus managed a weak smile. Deal. They walked out to the main room together, where Teresa was indeed stirring a large pot of soup on the hot plate. The Youth Alliance was quiet tonight, Saturday evening. Most of the kids were home with their families. The empty space felt cavernous, echoing. There he is, Teresa said warmly, ladling soup into a bowl. Chicken and rice, my grandmother's recipe. Sit. Marcus sat at one of the long tables, and Teresa set the bowl in front of him, along with a sleeve of crackers. Jimmy poured coffee for all three of them and settled into a chair across the table. Vincent told me a little about your father, Teresa said carefully, sitting down beside Marcus. Said he was a good man who tried to do the right thing. He had another family, Marcus said, surprising himself with how easily the words came now. A first wife and a son in San Francisco. I have a brother I've never met. Teresa's eyes widened. Oh, honey. He couldn't tell me. Legal complications, immigration issues. I don't understand all of it yet. But he sent them money every month, wrote letters, tried to be a father from 3,000 miles away. Marcus stirred his soup, watching the rice swirl. And he tried to be a father to me, too. I don't know how he did it. Sounds like he loved you both, Jimmy said quietly. Sounds like he did the best he could with an impossible situation. Marcus nodded, taking a spoonful of soup. It was good, rich and savory, warming him from the inside. I'm going to call them. Daniel and Lily. I have their number in the box. When? Teresa asked. Soon. Maybe after I visit the bank tomorrow. After I see what else is in that safety deposit box. Marcus paused. I want to know everything before I talk to them. I want to understand the whole story. They ate in companionable silence for a while, the only sounds the scrape of spoons against bowls and the distant hum of traffic outside. Marcus felt the exhaustion settling into his bones. It had been less than 72 hours since the confrontation at Pier 47, and his body was still processing the trauma. You can stay here as long as you need, Jimmy said suddenly. The back room is yours. No rush to figure everything out. Thank you, Marcus said, for everything. For giving me a place to hide, for not asking too many questions, for being human? Jimmy interrupted gently. That's not something you need to thank me for, son. That's just what people should do. Marcus finished his soup and helped Teresa clean up, then returned to the back room. He carefully placed all the letters back in the wooden box, organizing them chronologically. There were dozens. Letters from his father to Daniel, letters from Lily Huang to Vincent Zhao, letters his father had written to Marcus but never sent, documenting his thoughts and fears and hopes. It would take days to read them all, maybe weeks. Each one was a window into a life Marcus had never fully understood, a man who'd been more complicated and more human than the idealized memory Marcus had carried for 20 years. He lay down on the cot, the brass key clutched in his hand, and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow, he would go to Canal Street. Tomorrow, he would open the safety deposit box and see what final secrets his father had left behind. And soon, maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday, he would pick up the phone and call San Francisco. Daniel, he said aloud, testing the name. His brother. His family. The word felt strange but also right, like a piece of himself he hadn't known was missing, suddenly clicking into place. He'd spent 20 years as an orphan, believing he was alone in the world. Now he discovered he'd never been alone at all, just separated from the people who'd been searching for him. Marcus closed his eyes, exhaustion pulling him towards sleep. His last thought before drifting off was of his father sitting in their small apartment, writing letters by lamplight, trying to hold together two families across 3,000 miles, loving two sons he could never bring together. Until now. The war might be over, Marcus thought, as sleep claimed him. But the story was just beginning. And for the first time in 20 years, it felt like a story that might have a happy ending. Marcus woke to pale Sunday morning light filtering through the small window. For a moment, he was disoriented. Then memory crashed back. The wooden box, the letters, the brother he'd never met. He sat up, muscles stiff from sleeping on the narrow cot, and checked his watch. 7:30 a.m. The Youth Alliance was quiet. Jimmy and Teresa wouldn't arrive until 9, and Marcus had the building to himself. He used the bathroom, splashed cold water on his face, and stared at his reflection in the mirror. He looked tired, older than 25, with dark circles under his eyes and the beginning of stubble on his jaw. But there was something else too, a subtle shift in his expression, something he couldn't quite name. Purpose, maybe? Or hope. He dressed in clean clothes from his duffel bag, jeans, a dark sweater, his father's old work jacket. The brass key went into his pocket, solid and reassuring against his thigh. First National Bank wouldn't open until 10 on Sunday, which gave him time to walk, to think, to prepare himself for whatever he might find. Marcus left a note for Jimmy on the front desk. Gone to the bank, back this afternoon. The Bronx streets were quiet this early on a Sunday morning, most of the neighborhood still sleeping off Saturday night. Marcus walked south toward the subway, his breath misting in the cold November air. He had $800 in his pocket now, his father's emergency fund, but he took the subway anyway, old habits dying hard. The train was nearly empty, just a handful of early shift workers and one old woman clutching a rosary, lips moving in silent prayer. Marcus watched the stations flash by, each one bringing him closer to Canal Street, closer to whatever final secrets his father had left behind. He emerged at Canal Street at 9:15 and walked the 3 blocks to First National Bank, a stolid brick building that had probably stood there for 50 years. The bank wouldn't open for another 45 minutes, so Marcus found a diner across the street and ordered coffee and eggs. The waitress, a tired-looking woman in her 50s, set the plate in front of him with a practiced smile. "You look like you got somewhere important to be." "Safety deposit box?" Marcus said. "My father left something for me." "That's nice," she said. "Not many fathers think that far ahead." Marcus ate slowly, watching the bank through the diner's window. At exactly 10 o'clock, a security guard unlocked the front doors. Marcus paid his check, left a generous tip from his father's money, and crossed the street. The bank's interior was all marble and brass, designed to convey stability and permanence. A young teller, probably not much older than Marcus, greeted him with professional courtesy. "Can I help you?" "Safety deposit box," Marcus said, placing the key on the counter. "Box 247. The teller checked a ledger, her finger tracing down a column of entries. "Box 247. Chen James. But I'm afraid." She looked up, her expression shifting to sympathy. "I'm sorry, sir, but the rental on this box lapsed 6 months ago. We sent several notices to the address on file." Marcus's heart sank. What happens to the contents when the rental lapses? "After 90 days, we're required to drill the box and turn the contents over to the state as abandoned property." She checked the ledger again. "But according to this, the box was actually retrieved 2 weeks ago. Someone paid the back rent and claimed the contents." "Who?" "I'm not authorized to release that information. You'd need to speak with the branch manager, but he's not in on Sundays." Marcus gripped the edge of the counter, fighting down panic. "Please, this is important. My father died 20 years ago. That box has been sitting here all this time, and now someone just took it?" The teller's professional mask cracked slightly. She glanced around, then leaned closer. "Look, I shouldn't tell you this, but the man who claimed it left a message. Said if anyone named Chen came asking, I should give them this." She pulled a sealed envelope from beneath the counter. Marcus's name was written on the front in neat, precise characters, not his father's handwriting, but somehow familiar. Marcus took the envelope with shaking hands. "Thank you." He walked out of the bank and stood on the sidewalk, staring at the envelope. Finally, he tore it open and unfolded the single sheet of paper inside. "By now you've read your father's letters and learned about me and our mother. I'm sorry we couldn't meet sooner. The legal complications were real, and I didn't want to cause problems for you while you were in foster care. I retrieved the contents of the safety deposit box 2 weeks ago. Vincent called to tell me about the DeLuca operation, about what you'd done. I knew you'd come looking for this eventually, and I wanted to make sure you'd find something more than an empty box. The safety deposit box contained letters our father wrote to both of us, photographs from before you were born, and some personal items he wanted us to have. I've kept everything safe. It's all waiting for you in San Francisco. I know this is a lot to process. I know you probably have questions, maybe even anger about being kept in the dark all these years. I understand if you need time, but I hope you'll call. I hope you'll come visit. I've been waiting 20 years to meet my brother. Our mother has been waiting too. She tried so hard to find you after father died. The system wouldn't let her, wouldn't even confirm you existed, but she never stopped hoping that someday we'd all be together. The phone number is at the bottom of this letter. Call anytime, day or night. I work from home on Sundays grading papers, so I'll be there. I know father would be proud of what you did, bringing down the DeLucas, finishing what he started, but I also think he'd want you to know that you're more than his mission. You're his son, my brother, part of a family that wants to know you. Whenever you're ready. Your bro 15-762-4381. Marcus stood on the sidewalk, reading and rereading the letter, his vision blurring with tears he didn't try to hide. Daniel had been here, had beaten him to the bank by 2 weeks, had taken the contents not to keep them, but to preserve them, to make sure Marcus would eventually find his way to San Francisco, to family. Marcus folded the letter carefully and put it in his pocket beside his father's key. Then he walked to the nearest payphone, fed in a dime, and dialed the number with shaking fingers. The phone rang once, twice. On the third ring, a man's voice answered, calm, warm, with a slight California accent that sounded nothing like New York. Hello? Marcus swallowed hard. Daniel, this is Marcus, your brother.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.